Now, if we are children, Romans 8:17. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. And again, his suffering was the cross. Well, it was a lot more. Of course, he was denied by the very people that he came to save, by the very people that crucified him, that he prayed for. He was denied. And yes, we'll be denied. That's one of the sufferings. But don't tell me that your sickness isn't a cross. You know your sickness is a cross. And there is so much God is doing with that sickness until he chooses to heal you. The healing could come in the form of you leaving your earthly tent behind, or the healing could come in the form of someone praying over you and all of a sudden you're healed and you're freed from that infirmity. But until that healing comes, there's work to do. Things are going on. There's power, powerful graces being released from the work of that cross. The complications to your life. Your loved ones. I mean, all of us feel terrible when we're sick and we're a burden to other people. I mean, what could be more miserable? You're a burden to yourself and you're a burden to others. That's a hard cross. But you have to understand that there is sanctification going on in that household. The ones who are suffering with you because of all the work they have to do to take care of you are also being sanctified. You know, they're being made complete, lacking in nothing, as James says, by their perseverance. So even in situations where you feel terrible because you're a burden to people, I got news for you. You are a cross that is bringing forth virtue into their personality and their character. You are preparing them for heaven. It's a beautiful thing. Very hard, very difficult, very painful, but a beautiful dynamic. The other thing about the cross that is so powerful is humiliation. Being humbled, even as I just talked about. You're in a household and you're a burden to other people. That is so humbling. Maybe you can't get up and go to the restroom. You have to be helped in that way. That is so humiliating and so humbling. But you see, how humble was the Lord? Did any of us ever attain to that kind of humility? Yes, through the cross, we can be very much like the Lord. He asks us to be that way. In fact, Paul says to keep me from becoming conceited because of the revelations. He was given that thorn, right? But in Philippians 2:6 it says, the Lord, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing. How many times when we're sick we feel like nothing? I mean, worse than nothing. A deficit, a burden. He did not consider equality with God something to be grasped at, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. There's nothing in our lives that could be as humiliating as what Jesus went through. But let me tell you, when you have to suffer tremendous, humiliating, very humiliating situations because of the condition of your body, you're very close to him. You're beginning to look very much like him. And one thing he's continually telling me is, my bride, you must resemble me. That is the reason for your sufferings. I want you to resemble me. And when you come to heaven, such glory will be yours for the crosses that you carried. Never mind if you complain. I'm hoping that I'm giving you a perspective on this so that you'll stop complaining and start thanking the Lord. This is something he's been working with me for a long time about. My husband as well. The glory that will be ours because we received those crosses and we carried them faithfully without becoming bitter, angry, disillusioned. Maybe we had to deal with depression sometimes. But even that can be a terrible cross to carry. But if we know the Lord and we love him, he will communicate his grace, his mercy, his love, and his comfort to us and whisper into our hearts, beloved, there's nothing wrong with your faith. There's no great sin in your life. I'm sharing my cross with you. Will you help me carry it? You see, the Lord is going to suffer pain until the very day that this whole mess is wrapped up and every soul their destiny has been decided. He's going to suffer because he created us, and because when we suffer, he suffers terribly. He cries with us. He hurts with us. His compassion is beyond reckoning. You can't understand God's compassion. It is so much higher than anything we can imagine. And when you're carrying that cross, he's right there with you. And he's going to whisper into your ear, beloved, there's nothing wrong with you. There's no condemnation. You're not lacking in faith. There was nothing wrong with the gift of healing. This is a cross. It's a cross I've given you. And because you have carried it with love and devotion for me, I've united your suffering to my suffering on the cross. And great glory will be yours in heaven. And you will see all of the beautiful things that were accomplished through your suffering. Relatives that eventually came to the Lord. Loved ones that were released from drugs. Missionaries that were successful and brought a whole tribe of souls to Jesus. How beautiful. Truly, the Lord's ways are not our ways. Don't let anybody lie to you and tell you there's something wrong with you because you didn't get healed. There's nothing wrong with you. Jesus is sharing his cross. God bless you.